Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world today. And welcome to the third of our webinars on reimagining customer experience with the Contact Center AI platform. Today, our focus is on workforce management. So what I'd first like to do now is introduce my fellow panelists. Amit, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Amit Kumar. I am a product manager within our cloud AI team, and I'm specifically responsible for bringing Google's CCaaS to the market. I've been with Google for about 5 years and have done quite a bit of contact center transformation with a lot of large customers. So really excited to be here to share some of our workforce management pieces that we are working on. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Amit. And Leslie, go ahead.
Hey, good morning. I'm Leslie Blank. I'm SVP of Strategic Ops with UJET, and I work very closely within our Google partnership and helping to drive focus and collaboration around our strategic product roadmap. I've been with UJET for almost 3 years now, and prior to this, I was the head of product in another cloud contact center platform.
Excellent. Thank you. And I am Sheila McGee-Smith. I am an industry analyst that's been covering the contact center space exclusively for over 30 years. And I've obviously seen a lot of change in the market that is very specific to workforce management and workforce engagement management. Used to be contact center and workforce engagement were not only on separate platforms and separate applications, but often they were decisions that were made quite separately, right? With the advent of the cloud, a couple of things have happened. Number one, as companies move from premises-based solutions to the cloud, they're often moving both their contact center solution and their workforce engagement management at the same time. So what used to be two decisions is much more often becoming a single decision. And the other thing that's happened is, if I think back to the 90s and the aughts, workforce engagement management was a solution that was often used only by companies that had 1,000 agents or more, or 10,000 agents. Very often companies used spreadsheets to do their scheduling. And what we're finding is one of the reasons for that was there was a big sunk cost in bringing in a premises-based workforce engagement management solution. Hardware for the recording, solution, clients and servers for the various applications. In a cloud world, the incremental cost of adding workforce engagement management to a cloud contact center solution has become so manageable that as people move to the cloud, they're much more often to go and add workforce engagement management. People are walking away from spreadsheets with lots of macros that freeze up their PCs. We've all been there. So the other thing that's happened is a more technical and process-oriented kind of a change. What we're finding is that the information that's in workforce management can inform the contact center on how to route calls, on how skilled agents are, how agents probably handle the last few calls of the same type, and say, wait a minute, maybe this is an agent that needs some training in billing. And maybe we take her out of the routing for now on billing, get her some just-in-time training, and then add her back with that skill. And that's, the kinds of software applications that can happen now have meant that workforce engagement management and contact center solutions are increasingly being delivered on a single platform. And that's what's happening with contact center AI platform. As the chart here shows on challenges, the modern workforce is distributed or hybrid. What does that mean? Very often that means much more complicated workforce management schedule. Again, making it much tougher to use spreadsheets. Staffing optimization was driven by the recession right now. We're trying to make sure that we don't staff for the peak, which was often the case, right? Staff for the peak hour of the day. Let's see what we can do to make sure that we have the closest number of agents to what the actual inbound traffic is going to be. And I'm going to jump to the last one there. A lot of companies, I've often given speeches to groups of contact center managers, and I'll say, raise your hand if your workforce management system today only handles voice agents. And it's amazing that maybe 5 to 7 years ago, you'd get 80 to 90% of the people raising their hand, because most premises-based workforce management systems were designed in a world where there were 95% of all interactions were voice. So digital transformation, both in industry as a whole, but specifically in the contact center, has meant that some of the ways that we did workforce management in a voice world just don't work. The simple difference between having a chat that doesn't necessarily have to be real time, should be near real time, but doesn't have to have a dedicated agent, is very different to schedule for than a voice call where that agent really shouldn't be doing anything else at the same time. So what we're going to do over the next half hour or so is talk about workforce management and how it has changed in a cloud world, and specifically, especially with Google and UJET, in an AI-based world. So I'm going to hand it over to Leslie of UJET to continue our conversation.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Sheila. And super happy to be here. Thanks to everyone who joined today. Firstly, I just want to say how excited we are to collaborate with Google on the announcement and the launch of a native workforce management offering for Google Contact Center AI platform. I want to spend a couple of minutes here just talking a little bit about why we made this strategic investment to add a native WFM offering to the product portfolio. Amit, if you don't mind moving to the next slide, please. And also share a little bit of background in terms of how we're trying to take a different approach and the opportunity that we see, as well as what you can expect to see from us over the next couple of quarters. So in terms of the why are we pursuing WFM, and more broadly, as you see on the slide represented here, why are we more broadly pursuing other categories across the WFO ecosystem? Very similar to our strategy on the contact center side of our business, we saw an opportunity to come in and do things differently. And we have been very intentional over the last almost 8 years now in not following in the footsteps of those before us, but instead trying to come in with a very differentiated approach that focuses very much on the customer journey and compressing that journey as much as we can and removing friction points from each of the milestones along that journey. That is how we feel we can drive meaningful change in the customer experience metric. And we've been very successful in doing that. We see a similar opportunity with workforce management, not so much centered around the customer journey, but centered a bit more around simplification of the system and bringing in some of the AI capabilities to drive automation and better orchestration, not just within the WFM system, but across the portfolio products that work together. Sheila, you mentioned earlier that WFM is very sticky, right? And we agree 100%. It's very common for us to have conversations with customers who are looking to move their contact center platform, but want to bring their WFM system with them. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that, but certainly one of them is the fact that the enterprise WFM systems that are available on the market today, and by the way, this includes a lot of the strategic partners that we work with still today, these systems are incredibly feature rich, and the breadth and the depth of the capabilities is significant. And that breadth and that depth ties in very closely to the business process. So it's not just a product change or a platform change, but it can also potentially represent a change in business process, which is tough. And so part of the change that we want to try and drive is, one, simplification of the system. As you mentioned, Sheila, we still have a subset of this market that is not using a dedicated scheduling tool. They're choosing to use spreadsheets. That could be driven by cost, that could be driven by complexity and weight of the systems that are out there. And so we put a lot of emphasis in building this product around the user experience. And when I say user experience, Amit will talk a little bit more about this in his section, but we put a lot of emphasis in creating discrete and really rich experiences for all of the personas in the contact center, be it the agent experience and how they request changes to their schedules, the contact center supervisor or a dedicated workforce scheduler, contact center leader, and the contact center administrator, and really trying to drive simplification across those experiences. But the other area where we're deeply focused, especially in partnership with Google, and this is why the partnership with them is so strategic to us, is looking to how we can bring AI into the workforce scheduling capabilities. If you look at the data that is typically used and shared between an ACD or contact center platform and a WFM platform. And by the way, this doesn't matter if we're talking about an integration between two different vendors, or if we're talking about a native offering from a single vendor. The data that is typically used to derive the forecast is very much a discrete metrics-driven data set. It's information about how many interactions have I handled historically, possibly over the last 6 months? What's the duration of those conversations? What was the hold time? And then we marry that up with some real-time data to determine how well we're actually adhering to that forecast. But that data lacks context, right? It lacks context about what conversations are actually being had. And this is the biggest change that we're driving to make, which is to bring this context in and essentially add an additional layer of data to help drive the forecasting engine. Google's expertise in contact center AI comes into play here. And when we talk about AI for WFM, we are not talking about virtual agents for schedulers. We're not talking about agent assist for schedulers. We are talking about the ability to understand at a macro level, but also down to an individual agent level, what conversations agents are having with customers, what frequency those conversations are happening, but more importantly, what outcomes are we driving as a result of those conversations? And that begins to fuel a much richer and deeper understanding of how we can optimize so that we're not just staffing to meet a forecasted demand and ensure that we have the right number of bodies and seats at any given point in time, but we have the right agents who are skilled to have the right types of conversations at the right time and driving the right outcomes. And this data doesn't just feed into the WFM, by the way. This data begins to feed into the contact center application as well. As you mentioned, Sheila, this is the data that we begin to use to drive or create a better queue structure, a better understanding of how we should structure our queues. It begins to expand the concept of the skill tree so that we aren't just skilling agent for rigid concepts, but skilling them for particular types of conversations. And then based on the outcomes that they're driving in those conversations, we are able to use a lot of the AI modeling capabilities to create curated content, to train and coach those agents to do better in more of those types of conversations. So super excited about a lot of what we have coming from a WFM standpoint. With that, I will pass it over to you, Sheila. Thank you.
Certainly. One of the things that you mentioned really rang true for me in this new world where more agents are working from home, right? The ability to have a workforce management system that allows the agent to request changes, allows a supervisor who is much more often now not co-located with the agent to respond to those kind of things is so much better supported in number one, in a cloud-based solution, but certainly doesn't happen at all with a spreadsheet, right? So if we move to the next slide, I want to highlight one thing here. You mentioned the stickiness of workforce management, and I just want to dive into that for a second. What does that mean? Working with contact centers, I often find that they have built entire processes, business processes around the workforce management system that they use. They've integrated it with payroll. They've integrated it with other HR systems. They've integrated it with the CRM, right? And so As part of its approach to the marketplace, its open platform approach, Google Contact Center AI platform has recently announced partnerships with two of the leaders of workforce engagement management, and that's Verint and Alvaria. Alvaria may be a relatively new brand name to you, but it is the combination of what was the Aspect communications business, Aspect Software, with Noble. And between the two of them, also had quite a significant customer base. So having these partnerships allows a company to say, okay, I'm not ready to move off the system that I have really built some process around, and Google AI platform allows companies to continue to use and tightly integrate, not just use side by side, but tightly integrate with Google AI platform. Can you tell us anything more about those partnerships, Leslie?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we've talked about this a few times already today, right? But we believe it's critical to support these partnerships, and we will continue to maintain flexibility and provide customers with the choice to leverage the new capabilities that we provide alongside Contact Center AI platform, or to bring their existing WFM systems with them. And Verint and Alvaria are existing and strategic partners for us, and we're continuing to partner with them to drive new capabilities and how we further unify these systems together.
Excellent. Thank you. So we're going to bring Amit into the conversation now, and he's going to do a deep dive, starting with this slide, on what's new about the workforce management that UJET and Google together are building and have built.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila. Really appreciate your time. So just very quickly wanted to share a little bit more about some of the new capabilities that we are bringing as a part of our WFM solution. So this is the product that we build up, from ground up, and our key focus area has been around simplicity and just making sure that our customers can get an up and running and deploy this within the environment very quickly. This is something very intuitive. It has a very user-first approach. It has all the integrations pre-built with the CCaaS layer, so that you are not really extracting the data from your CCaaS layer and doing transformations using the spreadsheets. So this has all those pre-built integrations out of the box, and really simplicity and having to have you quickly up and running is one of the key focus area for us. From a capability perspective, we are supporting forecasting, scheduling, adherence, and shift bidding. Those are the 4 key business process areas that we are supporting at launch, and we would continue to add more capabilities there. The product has number of different support for a number of different personas. So as a part of administrative UI, administrator can control and create a lot of those configurations around scheduling and forecasting. We have portal for agents. That's where they can look at and see their scorecarding, interact with all of their schedule and shifts. So it has a number of those different portals and support for different personas. One of the key differentiator for us is the larger AI first approach. So traditionally, you have seen where workforce management solutions have been very metric driven, where you would really exchange data and do the forecasting and scheduling based on the call volume, call data, and some of the other data set from the agents. But here we are bringing this contextual conversational intelligence approach, where we not only just want to use the traditional data set, but we want to also look at the conversations and use those conversations as a part of our business processes that we want to focus on. There are additional capabilities around, for example, if the product is identifying certain skill gaps. So how can we really use, for example, generative AI to create a very personalized agent skilling curriculum. So those are some of the key AI focus capabilities that we are bringing. And then Leslie touched base on a little bit on the partner integration side. But one of the key focus area for us is, again, bringing these out-of-the-box integrations. So we continue to support and build our partner ecosystem to help our customers. Going a little bit more deeper into the administrative capabilities. Again, security and IAM capabilities are at the core of the platform. You have support for different personas. It has all the out-of-box integrations where you would be able to pull all your employee user information from the existing CCaaS layer that from CCI platform. Then the typical standard setup to configure your hours of operations, the working hours, all the SLAs and the forecasting that you would require, all the different shift automation rules that you would need to be setting up, and all the campaigns and all the queues and everything else that you have set up in the CCI platform. So all of those are very integrated features, and the administrative GUI allows administrators to help and create these configuration settings. From a forecasting perspective, again, a number of different capabilities here where the forecasting can be scheduled for a specific queue. It could be on a team or a unit or a specific locations. There are different levels of flexibility that is allowed here. There are a number of different forecasting patterns. So you can set up the forecast for the day, for a week, for a month. And you can have these forecasting patterns for really a limited number of these patterns that you can create. Then there are one of the key differentiator here is that we allow directly within the tool where you are able to look at your metrics. For example, on a specific day, you may have received, you may have seen a spike in your number of calls. So you are able to see those spikes and smoothen that, sort of spikes directly within the tool here, rather than exporting those data sets and then making those changes in different places and then importing and re-importing in that tool. So that's one of the key, simplicity that I was explaining earlier, where you are able to sort of really change those weights and really fix and remove those spikes and lulls within your overall pipeline as you are running these. You have the support for running the forecasting for individual channels, or you can also blend those. So you can chat and voice, you can blend all those channels and run that consolidated forecasting. Once you have run your forecasting model, then you can allow the scheduling run here. The tool here allows the capabilities for you to create various event types and different templates. So things like breaks and things like trainings and meetings and lunches, all of those things you can set it up here, and then you can use those event types as a part of your shifts template. That simplistic and very easy to configure. The tool has the flexibility to also not only support your standard scheduling for 40 hours a week, but you can also support your gig economy scheduling, where you can, for example, set up a 15-minute in a shift and really kind of really support different business cases, use cases here. From an assignment perspective, we also have a number of different options here. So we can, as an agent can go into the agent portal and can pick up those assignments, or you can allocate, you can have a supervisor, and the supervisor can then assign those shifts to different agents, or you can just have the tool do this job for you, where the product, the tool here itself will automatically assign these different shifts to the agents based on number of different parameters that you have set up. The product also does allow you to add the ad hoc events as a part of the scheduling, and then sort of manage and run those day-to-day schedules. So if somebody is running late, somebody wants to leave early, all of those things are supported in the product directly, where you are able to make these changes and then really run and manage your day-to-day schedule. From an adherence reporting perspective as well, this is the product is very well integrated directly with the CCaaS layer. All the data from CCI platform is fed into the reporting, where agents are able to access these schedules. They are able to look at all of those different rules and all the reporting directly. There is a supervisor persona as well, so the teams and the agents and the supervisor are able to exchange, can communicate each other. We do allow all the different typical standard capabilities that you would require, where agents are able to trade shifts with other agents. They're able to request time off requests. All of those capabilities are supported. And then as a part of the product, it does come with the pretty extensive reporting capabilities as well. You have the reporting at the campaign at the queue level, where you are able to see all those different metrics, but you can also run the reporting on a specific on a particular agent, and really sort of look at all the key scorecards and really see the overall performance for that specific agent. So we do support all of those capabilities. Want to take a moment and share these few screens here. Hopefully everyone is able to see my screen, but this is our admin portal. So this is where, as an administrator, you would come in and set up your hours of operations, time zones, basic informations. You would have all your employees. So these are all integrated with the CCI platform. So all the users that you have defined in the agents that are in the CCI platform, they're automatically imported as a part of that integration. You can update, add more attributes so that those are more flexible as a part of your WFM assignments. You can also add more agents directly into the tool here as well. Permission groups allows you to really create different functional areas. So again, this is one of the key focus area around the IAM capabilities. So you can define supervisors, for example, can only see certain things. You have folks that are focused on the forecasting, so they would be able to only do that forecasting work. So you can control the feature functionality and the capabilities of the product using the permission groups. Campaign is, this is really the queues that are defined in the CCI platform. So all of those queues, again, are imported here. You can set up the broader, the sort of contact center level SLAs here. But at the same time, we do also allow you to change and have a very specific SLA at the queue level. You may have a collection queue versus a customer service queue, and both of those queue may have a different SLAs. You can set up all of those here. You have a key. You can also set up all the different skills and assign those skills to the agents. So again, you have different capabilities. Creating these skill groups and all the agent skills here. Then similarly, once as an administrator, you are able to set up your forecasting. There are different types of forecasting. You can run daily, weekly, and monthly. Once you have those set up, you can run your standard forecasting here. So standard forecasting here is applicable or on a specific channel. You can then consolidate multiple channels and run those as a compiled forecasting as well. We allow that as well. You can also do a multi-skill forecasting here, where you are able to take the chat and a voice channels and then bundle them together and then create those. So pretty standard, typical, capabilities that you would find in a workforce management tool here. And then on the scheduling part, once you are able to set up your forecasting model, Then you go into the scheduling where you're able to create different types, event types, and then within those event types, you can create sub-events. Then you are able to create different shifts, assign those different events as a part of the shift templates. So all of those capabilities are allowed here. From a calculation perspective, we do support a couple different algorithms here. But again, this is another key focus area for us to bring more AI capabilities as a part of the forecasting and scheduling. The assignment here is another area where you can really take these. Once you have the forecasting model, then you can run your existing scheduling here. And then as a part of the assignment, as I was describing earlier, you could take, you can have the system automatically assigned to all the agents, or you can have a supervisor assign those. And then this is support for the ad hoc event. Just very quickly, this is the another sort of a persona. This is the end-to-end sort of a user interface for the supervisors, where they are able to see the performance for the teams. They can also look at the performance for the individual queues and the individual agents. This is the agent persona, where I would log in here, and all the typical things that I was just talking about, where I can accept those different bits. I can the schedule. I can request for time off. All of those things I can see here, and all my performance, all the typical average handle time, the call count, all of that would be available here. So. So with that, I would like to hand it back to Sheila.
Let me come off mute. I was being respectful of everything you were talking about there. I guess there's a couple of things that hit me. Number one, congratulations on a very seamless live demo. To be honest, we never had any question that was going to be seamless, right? It was, and that you showed so much of the live capability. This is not a 1.0 product. This is a very full-featured workforce management solution. So congratulations to you and the team. The other thing that really hit me was the notion of supporting companies that have a gig economy approach, right? The ability not just to do what you mentioned, 15-minute shifts, but perhaps split shifts, right? Split shifts, much more able to be done in a home environment. Don't tell me to go home for 2 hours, but tell me to feed my kids and give them their after-school snack and then get back on the phone in 2 hours. That's a real possibility. So I love those capabilities. I'm going to hand it off to Leslie now to bring us home. Leslie.
Excellent. Thanks, Sheila. And thanks, everyone. I know we're a couple minutes over, so thank you for sticking with us for a few additional minutes. This does conclude, though, our three-part webinar series on Reimagining CX with Contact Center AI platform. Huge thanks to our partners at Google, not only for their participation in today's webinar, but also for their expertise in Contact Center AI that is helping to drive a much-needed transformation in the CCaaS space. Sheila, always great to partner with you on these sessions as well. Thanks for keeping us on track and making this an exciting session. And to everyone else, thanks again for your time and for attending. Following this session, we will be sending out links to this recording, as well as recordings to the last two webinars in case you missed them but are curious to know what we talked about there. But if you'd like to learn more about any of the capabilities that we showed today, if you want to go a little bit deeper, if you want to see a demo, you're welcome to visit us at ujet.cx, fill out a contact us form, and I assure you we will get in touch with you right away. So again, thanks again, and everyone have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank you.